The corridor lights flickered with a cold blue glow as the warden walked through the long metallic hallway. Every step he took echoed sharply, making the place feel even more empty than it already was. He had been in many dangerous places before, but nothing felt quite like this one. The air was strange, almost tense, as if the station itself knew something was wrong. The warden stopped in front of a steel door, scanned his wrist, and waited for it to unlock. Behind that door was something he had been ordered to deal with immediately. Something small, something dangerous, something humans called the honey badger. Inside the room, the honey badger sat in the center, staring at the warden with sharp black eyes. It did not growl, did not move, did not even blink. It simply watched him, calm but ready. The warden had faced criminals, beasts, and machines, but the look in that creature's eyes made him feel something he had not felt in years: uncertainty. He took a slow breath and stepped forward. He was not afraid. He could not be afraid. Yet something felt off. Near the wall stood a small human child, maybe 7 or 8 years old, dressed in a warm gray hoodie and jeans. The child looked out of place here, almost too quiet, too still. The child's eyes were fixed on the warden as if waiting for something. The warden wondered why the child was here at all. Why would anyone bring a child near a creature known for chaos and fury? It made no sense, but nothing about this station had made sense since he arrived. The warden lifted his baton, not to strike, but to prod the creature closer to the door. He wanted to move the honey badger into a transfer cage. He wanted this job finished quickly. He wanted no trouble. But as he stepped forward, the child whispered something so soft it almost disappeared into the cold air. "Please don't do that." The warden stopped mid-step. He turned his head slightly toward the child. The voice was small but steady. There was no fear in it, only warning. The warden frowned and ignored it. He took another step and tapped his baton on the floor, trying to push the animal back. The honey badger finally moved, but not away from him. Instead, it stepped forward, its body low, muscles tensed, teeth flashing in the blue light. The warden stepped back in surprise. The child whispered again, "You should not touch it." The warden felt irritation rising. He was the officer here. He had authority. He was trained. He did not need a child giving him warnings. He raised his baton again, this time pointing it toward the animal's head. Something hot burned in his pride. He wanted to prove that he was in control. He moved fast and tapped the honey badger harder than before, not a strike, but enough to annoy the creature. The reaction was instant. The honey badger's entire body seemed to explode with energy. It growled, loud and sharp, as if the sound cut through the hallway like a blade. Its claws scraped against the metal floor as it lunged forward a few inches. The warden jumped back again, this time feeling real shock. How could something so small move with so much force? The creature did not attack fully, not yet, but it was clear it was done being patient. The child stepped forward, not toward the warden, but toward the honey badger, slowly, calmly, as if the creature were a friend. The child placed a gentle hand on its back. The honey badger stopped growling instantly. Its breathing slowed. Its body relaxed. The warden stared in disbelief. "How did you do that?" he asked. The child looked up at him with wide, steady eyes. "It listens to me." That answer made no sense. Animals did not simply listen to children, especially not honey badgers. The warden felt the tension build in his chest. Something larger was happening here, something he did not understand. He had been told the honey badger was dangerous, unpredictable, and needed to be moved immediately. But no one had mentioned the child. No one had said anything about the strange connection between them. He lowered his baton slightly. "Why are you here?" he asked. The child took a breath as if choosing the right words. "Because it trusts me, and I trust it, and you made it angry." The warden clenched his jaw. He did not like being corrected, especially not by a small human. "It is an animal," he said firmly. "Animals follow strength, not children." The child shook their head. "Not this one." The honey badger growled again, but not at the child, at him. The warden felt heat rise in his face, pride mixed with fear and fear mixed with annoyance. He refused to let a small creature intimidate him. He stepped forward again, more aggressively this time, aiming to show dominance. A mistake was coming, one he could not see, but the child did. "Don't," the child whispered. "Please don't." The warden ignored the warning. He lifted his baton and struck the honey badger lightly but sharply on the shoulder. Not a hit to injure, only to control. But the honey badger did not understand control. It understood insult. It understood threat. It understood this as the beginning of war. The creature roared, a deep, furious sound that shook the hallway. It lunged forward with terrifying speed. The warden stumbled back, barely avoiding the attack. His heartbeat pounded painfully in his ears. He raised his baton defensively, too late to stop the creature from charging again. The child stepped between them. The warden froze. The honey badger froze. For a moment, time stopped. The child placed a small, calm hand on the creature's neck. The honey badger lowered its head slightly, its anger cooling but not gone. Its eyes remained locked on the warden, filled with a wild warning. The child turned to the warden with a quiet voice that carried more weight than any shout. "You made a big mistake." The warden swallowed hard. He realized now that the real danger was not the honey badger alone. It was the bond between the child and the creature. It was the strange power in that bond, something deeper, something human, something the aliens never truly understood. And the warden knew, as the honey badger growled again, that this was only the beginning. The warden stood completely still, unsure of what to do next. The child's soft voice still echoed in his mind, repeating the warning he had ignored. The honey badger remained close to the child, breathing heavily, its eyes locked on him with a sharp, dangerous focus. The warden could not look away. It felt like the creature was studying him, weighing him, waiting for the slightest movement to decide whether he should live or suffer. He tightened his grip on his baton, but his hands were trembling. The child slowly stepped back, whispering comforting words to the honey badger. The creature relaxed only slightly, but its attention never left the warden. The air around them felt thick and heavy, as if the station itself was holding its breath. The warden tried to speak, but the words stuck in his throat. Nothing in his training had prepared him for this. He had been taught to deal with threats using force or control, never understanding, never trust, and certainly never with the help of a child. "You should not have hit it," the child said again, this time louder. The voice was not angry, just sad. The warden felt a strange twist in his stomach, a feeling he did not like. It was guilt, and he hated that feeling more than anything. He had never cared for humans before. He had seen them as simple, reckless creatures who caused trouble far too often. But this child was different. There was something quietly powerful inside them, something steady and brave. The warden forced himself to speak. "It was out of control. I had orders to move it. I was doing my duty." The child looked up with wide eyes. "Sometimes orders are wrong." The warden shook his head, uncomfortable. He was not used to being challenged. He wanted to end the conversation, but the situation was far from over. He needed to think carefully. If he pushed too hard, the honey badger would attack. If he backed away, he would look weak. The creature took one step toward him, testing him, as if sensing his confusion. The warden slowly lowered his weapon. His heart pounded. He had never backed down from anything in his life, but he could feel the child's gaze on him, and somehow his pride mattered less now. The station lights flickered again, casting strange moving shadows across the walls. Something was changing in the station. There was a vibration beneath the floor, soft but steady, as if something large was powering up. The warden tried to regain his authority. "Why are you with that creature? Why does it follow you?" The child hesitated. "It doesn't follow me. We came here together." The voice dropped lower. "They want to take it away from me. They want to study it. They want to use it." The warden felt another wave of confusion. He had not been told anything like that. According to his orders, the honey badger was too dangerous to be left free. But now, hearing the child's words, he began to wonder if there was more he wasn't told. His commanders were known for hiding details that did not fit their plans. He studied the child more closely. There was innocence there, but also something deep and serious. "Why does it trust you?" he asked again. The child took a shaky breath. "Because I saved it long before this place." Before the warden could ask more, the station alarm suddenly blared. A loud, sharp sound filled the hallway, flashing red lights replacing the blue ones. The honey badger tensed immediately, looking around as if preparing for a new threat. The child grabbed its fur gently, trying to calm it. The warden raised his head, trying to understand what was happening. A voice came through the station speakers. "Containment breach. All officers report to Sector 3. Repeat, containment breach." The warden's eyes widened. Sector 3 was close, too close. He turned toward the hallway entrance, his instincts taking control. But before he could move, the child's small voice stopped him again. "You can't leave." The warden spun back. "I must, this is protocol." The child shook their head. "If you leave, something worse will happen." The honey badger growled softly, almost agreeing. The warden felt a wave of frustration. He did not like being trapped between duty and uncertainty. But the child's words carried weight, and the creature's reaction told him that danger was not coming from the hallway. It was coming from somewhere else. The station suddenly shook, a deep rumble that made dust fall from the ceiling. The honey badger pressed itself protectively against the child. The warden looked around, his training telling him this was not a normal breach. Something powerful was moving through the station. "Tell me what you know," he demanded. The child looked down, thinking. They were trying to take something from me, something important. The honey badger wasn't the only one. The warden stared. "What do you mean?" The child stepped forward, eyes serious. "They took my friend, not an animal, someone like me, someone they should not have touched." The warden felt the floor vibrate again, stronger this time. A loud crashing sound echoed from the far hallway. Something was breaking through walls. The child whispered, "It's coming." The warden raised his baton again, but not to fight the honey badger this time. He looked toward the hallway, fear building inside him. He did not know what was coming, but the child's trembling voice made it clear it was nothing he could handle alone. The honey badger moved closer to the child, its fur rising, its muscles tight, its teeth ready. It wasn't angry now, it was protecting. The warden took a step back, then another. His instinct screamed at him to run, but his feet wouldn't move. The child whispered one last sentence, soft but full of truth. "This is only the beginning." The rumbling in the station grew stronger with every passing second. The warden felt the floor vibrate beneath his boots like something huge was dragging itself through the metal corridors. The lights flickered again, switching between red and white, throwing strange, moving shadows across the walls. The honey badger pressed closer to the child, its body rigid and alert. The warden could see its muscles tighten with every vibration. It knew something dangerous was approaching. The child held onto the creature's fur, whispering quietly, but even the child's calm voice could not stop the fear growing in the air. The warden took a steady breath, trying to keep his mind clear. Panic was something he avoided his whole career, but this situation tested him unlike anything he had faced. He had come here believing he was dealing with a simple containment issue. Now everything felt wrong. The child's warnings, the creature's reactions, the station alarm, the shaking floors, all of it pointed to something far larger than a small animal acting wild. He looked down the hallway, where the loud crashing sounds had begun, each one louder than the last. The child stepped beside him, their face serious and pale. "They made it angry," the child said softly. "Just like they made him angry, they never learn." The warden turned sharply. "Who is coming? What did they take?" The child hesitated. It looked as if speaking the truth hurt. "They took my friend. He is not a creature. He is not a weapon, but they treated him like one. He warned them too. They didn't listen." Another crash echoed, this time so close that the ceiling dust fell in thick clouds. The honey badger growled low and steady, its eyes glowing with a wild fury. The warden realized the creature was not only protecting the child. It was preparing to fight, and whatever they expected to face, it would not be small. The warden tightened his grip on the baton. His heart pounded painfully in his chest. "Is your friend dangerous?" he asked. The child did not answer right away. Their eyes focused on the far end of the hallway where faint footsteps, heavy, slow, and uneven, began echoing closer. "He wasn't," the child finally whispered. "But they hurt him, and now he is." The warden swallowed hard. He had seen people change when pushed too far. He had seen creatures break under pain and fear. But there was a different weight in the child's words, something deeper, something powerful, something unnatural. The station lights flickered one more time, then turned completely red. A sharp emergency voice filled the air. "Warning! Unknown entity approaching Sector 3. All officers retreat. Repeat, all officers retreat immediately." The warden felt cold dread settle in his bones. If even the station system was warning officers to retreat, then whatever was coming was beyond protocol. But he couldn't leave. The child and the honey badger stood beside him, and everything inside him told him abandoning them would be worse than facing the unknown threat. The footsteps grew louder, slow, heavy, dragging. The sound of metal bending followed each step. Something scraped against the walls, leaving long, deep marks. The child took a small step back, the honey badger following closely, its fur standing on end. The warden whispered, "What is he?" The child whispered back, "Someone they tried to turn into a monster." A huge shape appeared at the end of the corridor. At first, the lighting made it difficult to see clearly. All the warden could make out was a tall silhouette, hunched, with wide shoulders and long arms that dragged against the walls. The creature's breathing was loud, painful, and uneven, like someone trying to breathe through broken lungs. The honey badger growled so fiercely that the metal floor vibrated under its paws. The warden took a step in front of the child, surprised even at himself. He had no reason to protect the child. But here he was, standing between them and the approaching shadow. The creature stepped into the red light and the warden's eyes widened in shock. It was humanoid but far from normal. Its skin was pale and marked with deep scars. Wires and mechanical tubes were attached to its arms and chest, some broken and leaking strange sparks. Its eyes glowed faintly, not with anger but with pain. So much pain that even the warden felt his chest tighten. It staggered forward, dragging one arm across the floor, leaving a trail of scratches. The child whispered a name, too soft for the warden to hear, but the creature heard it. It stopped moving. Its glowing eyes shifted toward the child. The honey badger stepped in front of the child, ready to fight. The creature raised its head slowly, as if struggling to remember something. The warden could see confusion in its movements, like someone waking from a nightmare they couldn't escape. The warden finally understood. "This is your friend." The child nodded, tears forming in their eyes. "They changed him. They forced him. He didn't want to fight. He didn't want to hurt anyone, but when they took him, he lost himself." The creature let out a low, broken growl. It stepped forward again, but slower now, as if trying to control itself. The honey badger growled louder, warning it not to come too close. The warden felt trapped between two forces, one wild and furious, the other broken and dangerous. "Can he understand you?" the warden asked. The child nodded again. "But it's getting harder. Every minute, he becomes more like what they made him." The creature's breathing grew louder. Sparks flew from the tubes in its arms. Its eyes flickered as if fighting between two identities. The warden felt the air tighten around them. "What does he want?" the warden asked. The child took a shaky breath. "He wants me safe, and he wants revenge on the ones who hurt him." Another crash came from behind the creature. Something else was moving in the darkness, something faster. Something that made the creature flinch. The warden felt a chill run down his spine. "There's more." The child nodded, voice breaking. "They won't stop until they take us all." As the creature took another step forward, the honey badger roared, the child cried out, and the station shook again, because the real danger had just arrived behind the monster. The creature froze when the new sound echoed behind it. The hallway lights trembled, sending flashes of red and white across the metal walls. The honey badger growled louder, positioning itself directly in front of the child. The warden took a small step back, trying to control his breathing. The creature's glowing eyes twitched between the child and the darkness behind it, as if torn between two instincts, protect and destroy. The sound behind the creature grew sharper. It wasn't a heavy step this time. It was quick, metallic, and cold, like something with sharp legs scraping against the floor. The warden felt the hairs on the back of his neck rise. He knew that sound far too well. It belonged to machines designed for capture, not protection. They were coming. The creature turned slowly, its large frame shaking. It growled in a painful voice, trying to warn whatever was coming. Something in the dark moved with unnatural speed, darting from wall to wall like a shadow made of metal. The warden recognized the shape. It was one of the security drones, but not the standard kind. This one was upgraded, armed with shock needles, restraint hooks, and a drill that hummed with electric power. The drone shot forward, flying low across the floor, heading straight toward the creature. The honey badger snarled, ready to launch itself at it. The child grabbed the honey badger's fur, trying to hold it back. "No," the child whispered. "Not yet." The drone aimed its needles and fired. The creature roared in agony as the sharp needles sank into its shoulder, sending sparks through its body. The warden raised his baton, unsure if he should fight or run. The drone pulled back, preparing another strike. The creature stumbled, gripping the wall for balance. The child covered their ears, tears running down their cheeks. The honey badger snapped its jaws, furious that it couldn't reach the drone. The drone circled the creature again, moving faster, preparing for a second shot aimed directly at its chest. Without thinking, the warden stepped forward and swung his baton with all the force he had. The blow connected with the drone's side, sending it crashing into the wall. The impact made a loud crack. The warden stood there, shocked by his own actions. He had attacked a government drone. His orders had never included helping the child or the creature. Yet here he was, fighting against the very system that controlled him. The drone spun back toward him, its glowing red lens focusing on his face. The warden held his baton tightly, prepared for it to attack him next. But before the drone could strike, The honey badger shot forward like a missile. Its claws slashed through the drone's metal shell, ripping wires out with terrifying efficiency. The drone let out a sharp electric scream before collapsing onto the floor, broken and silent. The honey badger growled over the remains, its eyes shining with wild triumph. The creature leaned against the wall, shaking, breathing heavily. The needles still stuck in its shoulder sparked weakly. The child ran toward it, placing their small hand on its arm. "You're hurt," the child whispered. The creature's glowing eyes softened for a moment as it looked at the child. It tried to lift its hand, but the pain was too much. The warden approached slowly. He didn't want to scare it. "Let me help," he said quietly. The child looked back at him with cautious hope. The warden knelt and carefully removed the needles one by one. Each time he pulled, the creature growled, but it didn't strike. It trusted the child, and for now, that trust extended to him. The station settled into a quiet hum again, but the peace didn't last long. More sounds echoed through the corridor, multiple drones moving together. This time, the footsteps were mixed with mechanical clicking, like a swarm gathering. The warden's heart raced. They were surrounded. He stood and looked at the child. "We can't stay here," he said. "We need to move before they send more." The child nodded slowly, wiping tears from their eyes. "There's a place we can go. A safe place." The honey badger stepped beside the child, muscles tense but ready. The creature pushed itself off the wall, limping slightly. It looked weak, but there was still strength in its posture. The warden realized its determination came not from rage, but from the child. Everything this creature did was for that small human. The warden pointed toward the far hallway. "Lead the way. I'll cover you." The child nodded again and gently guided the honey badger forward. The creature followed behind them, guarding their back, its glowing eyes scanning the shadows. They reached the end of the hallway just as the first group of new drones arrived. These ones were larger with long legs and glowing blue sensors. They looked like metallic spiders, fast and flexible. The warden turned. The hidden wall panel clicked softly as it sealed behind them, shutting out the noise of the drones. The air inside the secret passage was colder, still, and strangely quiet. The warden leaned against the wall and tried to steady his breathing, feeling the heavy thump of his heartbeat echo through his chest. The honey badger paced back and forth, growling low like it still expected danger to break through any second. The creature sat down slowly, holding its shoulder where the needles had gone in. The child stood between all three of them, small, trembling, but focused. The warden watched the child carefully. Something about them had changed. Their voice was calm, but their eyes held a deep sadness. The warden finally spoke. "What is it that we still don't know?" His voice echoed through the narrow space, sounding louder than he expected. The child took a deep breath and looked down at the floor before answering. "This place wasn't built to protect people. It was built to hide things they shouldn't have made." The warden frowned. He had heard rumors about secret experiments, but nothing confirmed. The child continued. "My friend and the honey badger, they weren't supposed to be here. They wanted to test how much pain they could handle, how far they could push them. They wanted to make weapons." The warden's chest tightened. He looked at the creature, who lifted its head slowly, eyes glowing with a sad, broken intelligence. The warden felt a wave of guilt. He had followed orders for years without questioning them, but now those orders looked darker than any enemy he had ever faced. The child pointed deeper into the tunnel. "There's a place farther inside where they keep the rest of the experiments. If we don't reach it before they do, everything will get worse." The warden took a slow breath. "How many more are there?" The child's hands shook. "Too many." The honey badger growled at the words, as if understanding the danger. The creature struggled to stand again. The warden stepped forward and helped lift its arm over his shoulder. To his surprise, the creature didn't resist. They moved deeper into the tunnel, the child leading the way. The honey badger stayed close to the child's heel, watching every shadow. The tunnel lights flickered as they walked. Long pipes ran along the walls, humming with energy. The air became warmer the further they went, and a faint smell of burning metal filled the space. The warden felt unease growing with every step. "Why didn't you tell me earlier?" he asked. The child didn't turn around. "Because I didn't trust you. You hit him. You hit my friend. I thought you were one of them." The words hit the warden harder than any drone strike. He didn't argue. He couldn't. He knew the child was right. After a long silence, the tunnel opened into a large chamber filled with dim red lights. In the center of the room stood a huge glass cylinder filled with thick, dark liquid. Inside it floated a shape too large to see clearly. The warden felt a chill crawl up his spine. "What is that?" he whispered. The child stepped closer, fear in their voice. The biggest mistake they ever made. The honey badger growled at the cylinder. The creature stared at it with wide, pained eyes. Machines buzzed around it, pumping energy and keeping whatever was inside alive. The warden moved closer and wiped the condensation from the glass. A massive form floated inside, a creature with thick limbs, long claws, and glowing red eyes. It was asleep, but even in sleep it looked dangerous enough to tear the station apart. The warden stepped back. "They built this?" The child nodded. "They built all of them, different sizes, different strengths. They wanted an army." Suddenly an alarm echoed in the chamber. The lights shifted from red to white. A mechanical voice shouted through speakers hidden in the ceiling. "Unauthorized entry detected. Sealing exits. Preparing activation sequence." The warden looked around quickly. Metal doors began sliding down, trapping them inside. The honey badger barked loudly, running toward the nearest door, clawing at it in frustration. The creature staggered forward, letting out a painful growl. The child grabbed the warden's sleeve. "We need to stop the activation. If it wakes up now, it will kill everything." The warden looked at the control panels near the cylinder. Complex screens flickered with warnings. He wasn't good with machines, but he was good with force. He smashed the first screen with his baton. Sparks flew. The alarm grew louder. He hit the second panel. The creature walked toward the third, raising its heavy arm and smashing the metal casing. The honey badger leaped up and tore wires from another device. The child ran to a smaller control pad and typed quickly. "Hurry," the child whispered. "They're already trying to wake it." The glass tube vibrated. Cracks began forming across the surface. The shape inside shifted, its claws twitching. The child typed faster, hands shaking. "Come on, come on." The warden swung hard at a large power box. The honey badger clawed deeper into the wires. The creature pushed its shoulder into a thick cable, ripping it from the wall. The last alarm screamed. The cylinder lights flickered and then finally went dark. The chamber became silent. The glowing red eyes inside the tank slowly closed. The warden let out a long breath he didn't know he was holding. The creature leaned heavily against the wall, exhausted. The honey badger lay on the floor, panting. The child dropped to their knees, relief in their eyes, but before they could rest, the floor shook again. This time the sound was different, heavier, angrier, closer. The warden turned toward the sealed doors. Something large was trying to break through. The child's face went pale. "They know we shut it down," the child whispered. "They won't let us leave." The warden stepped forward, gripping his baton tightly. For the first time since this began, he wasn't afraid to fight for them. The heavy pounding on the sealed doors grew louder, shaking the entire chamber. Dust fell from the ceiling in soft streams, and the red emergency lights pulsed like a heartbeat. The warden stood in front of the child and the two creatures, gripping his baton so tightly that his knuckles turned white. He did not know exactly who or what waited on the other side of those doors, but he knew one thing for certain. They were not coming to help. The honey badger growled loudly, pacing back and forth with sharp, furious steps. The creature sat against the wall, still weak but watching the doors with glowing eyes full of determination. The child stood between them all, trembling but trying to stay strong. The warden looked down at the child. "We will get out," he said. The child nodded slowly. "Not if they break through first." The pounding grew sharper. The metal started bending inward. Something strong was pushing from the other side. The warden took a slow breath. "Then we don't wait. We move now." The child pointed to another small tunnel exit near the floor, hidden in the shadows. "We can use that. It leads to the lower maintenance area. No one uses it." The honey badger ran to the opening and started clawing at the loose metal around it. The warden helped, pulling at the panel until it broke free. The creature pushed itself up, limping toward the tunnel. The doors behind them groaned as another heavy strike dented the metal outward. The warden guided the child through the tunnel first. The honey badger followed, slipping inside easily. The creature crawled in next, its large body barely fitting. The warden went last, pulling himself into the tunnel just as the main doors finally burst open. A loud explosion echoed behind them, shaking the entire passage. The warden pushed forward faster. Sparks rained down from overhead pipes as they crawled through the tight space. Warm air flowed through the vents, carrying the smell of burning plastic. The honey badger growled at every strange noise. The creature tried to move quietly, but sometimes dragged its damaged arm across the metal, making sharp scraping sounds. The child looked back often, making sure the creature was still following. The warden kept turning his head, listening for anything behind them. After what felt like forever, the tunnel widened into a lower level filled with broken pipes and old machinery. The lights here were dimmer, giving the place a strange, abandoned feeling. The warden stepped out first and scanned the area. "Where do we go now?" he asked. The child walked forward slowly. "There's an exit near the cargo bay. If we reach it, we can escape into the wastelands outside. After that, we survive however we can." The creature limped beside the child, breathing hard. The honey badger sniffed the air and growled. The warden followed its gaze. Across the room, shadows moved. They were not drones. They moved too smoothly, too quietly. The warden reached out and pushed the child behind him. "We're not alone." Two figures stepped from the shadows, officers in dark armor carrying energy rifles. Their helmets reflected the dim lights, hiding their faces. One officer raised his weapon. "You are ordered to surrender the subjects," he said. The warden stepped forward. "They're not subjects, they're survivors." The officers did not lower their weapons. The second officer aimed directly at the creature. "That thing is unstable. It must be returned to containment." The creature growled softly, lowering its head. The child grabbed its arm. "Please don't hurt him." The warden raised his baton. "If you want them, you go through me." The officers shared a quick look. One spoke coldly. "You have broken protocol. Stand down." The warden tightened his stance. "No." The officers fired. The warden moved with surprising speed, blocking the first blast with his baton's energy field. The honey badger darted across the floor like lightning, slamming into one officer's legs. The man fell hard, dropping his weapon. The creature lunged forward despite its pain and knocked the other officer against the wall. The child called out, "Stop! Don't kill them." The honey badger pulled back immediately, snarling but not attacking further. The creature dropped the second officer gently, leaving him unconscious. The warden kicked the rifles away and motioned for everyone to move. "We don't have time. More will come." They crossed the machinery room quickly, heading toward a rusted metal staircase leading downward. The sounds of alarms echoed from above. The child hurried down the steps, followed by the honey badger and the creature. The warden came last, keeping watch. At the bottom of the stairs was a large old cargo bay door. The child pressed their hand against the scanner. It flickered weakly and then unlocked. Cold night air rushed in, carrying the smell of dust and distant storms. The wasteland stretched out beneath a dark sky full of strange clouds and glowing stars. The warden looked back into the station for the last time. He could hear running footsteps, shouting voices, and the hum of approaching machines. He turned to the child. "Are you ready?" The child nodded. "We just need freedom, that's all we ever wanted." The creature placed a large hand on the child's shoulder, eyes glowing softly. The honey badger stood beside them, fierce and loyal. The warden stepped into the night with them. For the first time, he felt no orders, no duty, no fear. Only purpose. The child looked up at him. "Why did you help us?" The warden gave a small, tired smile. "Because someone needed to." Behind them, the station alarms grew louder. Ahead of them, the wasteland stretched wide and open. Together, they walked forward into the unknown, into a